Lose to me, so he was involved in the fire.
Seeing lawfare waged on the British people with a whole new level of intensity.
Sorry, I can't hear it, guys, but I was got subtitles up.
And the Lord is also like that documents between English men and women from the abuse at the hands of tyrants. How far? Now we look at the architecture of totalitarian states film with your first edition. Two-tier pieces, looks like it's a tradition, control young, sensitive voices being crushed. These some of the pieces serve each place, working hard towards being totalitarian state. New legislation, arrest for hurtful words, 4 crimes being banned, firearms. This is all been the case for years. And digital programming money, masturbation, social scores, 15 minutes, pay per mile to drive. Yes, new legislation is already in place. Censorship control, food use, all these things will follow suit. More tax, less freedom, and prison is ending your objectives. Right now, we have a new Labour government, and we could not have a happier. Process and the democracy all at the start. Well, in fact, there's 6 years ago,
I hope you shut me down.
Well, guess what I do? They're not for the oppressed. To use social justice as a veil these totalitarians create
am I getting doing family
the totalitarian utopia. Division and chaos, they both serve.
Goes to show you how much they like you, cunt.
And they create factions, imaginary foes. They turn the gullible against these imaginary demons. Why do they do this? Well, they have no power if they are scrutinised and exposed for what they are. They have no power if the people unite against them. And they are driven by 3 emotions. 3 emotions lie at the heart of every totalitarian regime. And Keir Starmer's regime is no different. They're driven by lust, fear, and loneliness.
Go on!
A lust for power. They will say and do anything to get it. They will say and do anything to keep it. This includes lying to us. We won't take away the winter fuel allowance. We won't raise taxes. They get elected, they take away the winter fuel allowance from thousands and thousands of pensioners on as little as £30,000 a year. But how can
they don't have money to spare, and this year, if it's cold, they're going to be looking at the thermostat and wondering if they can pay their bills.
There's active in this to stop
Dirty bastards.
That is a barefaced lie. Just 1.5 billion was saved, while 21 billion pounds was voluntarily spent on public sector pay rises and foreign climate aid. When Ed Miliband excitedly promises to be by 2030, again, he has been completely dishonest. As the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Darren Jones, innocently leaked some time ago, the true cost is going to be hundreds of billions of pounds with an almost impossible transformation of infrastructure.
There's a report, of course, commissioned by the Labour Party back in 2017, which forecast that thousands of pensioners could die, could literally freeze to death because of this change.
If we have the money, billions every year, to look after people who have given nothing to this country, why do we not have 1.2 billion to give money to people who have contributed to the system and who are now...
They removed the energy price cap, the prices jumped by 10% everywhere. And if you worked hard, Free Gear Kia, he's had to declare more than £100,000
Asshole!
more than any other MP in our country. And they say they've just found a £22 billion black hole in the nation's finances.
We have found
Wanker!
that we can build a better future.
They knew about the state finances long before. They just forgot to mention it. And when asked to spell out the details of the claimed black hole, they refuse. They're not telling. They won't. The dog ain't my homework. Ridiculous. They're not hiding the political choices they've made. They're actually proud of them. They can't use your taxes, remember our taxes, that's whose taxes, this is yours. They can't use them to help freezing pensioners this winter, but they can choose to send $3 billion a year of your tax to Ukraine to drag us to Russia. Instead, as soon as peace, they choose to send $6.4 billion a year of your taxes to support asylum and illegal migration. That's according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies. That's up 50% from last year and 6 times higher than in 2018. What's it going to look like next year or the year after? That's right, $6.4 billion in support of unilateral cultural suicide.
Angela Rayner has announced that she's abandoning plans to give British people in brackets who have paid their stamp or taxes, close brackets, priority council housing. We're going to allow migrants to get that. If you thought that wasn't bad enough, I'd love your response to this, because this sent me today quite literally over the edge. If you're a terrorist and you wanted to give social housing, you were going to be banned under Labour's manifesto. That's being reversed as well today. So what we're saying then is we're going to allow millions of people to come into this country and take away homes or whatever from British people who need them. And that is not racist to make that comment. That is an absolute proven fact.
And it's a proven fact, and that, amongst other reasons, is why people from all those deprived communities across the United Kingdom have been protesting against immigration for the last few weeks.
They choose to give away $8 billion of your taxes on climate aid. That's giving money to other countries to help them for their so-called climate challenges. $8 billion of your money, but can't keep pensioners warm. They choose to spend trillions, yes, trillions of your taxes to pursue their own net zero wet dream, exporting our carbon emissions to China and India as we commit unilateral industrial disarmament and drive millions and millions into fuel poverty. Don't take my word for it. This is a co-founder of Greenpeace on climate change.
I say not only is carbon dioxide good, it is essential And it's a good thing that we're putting some more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because it was running low before we came along. If we had definitive proof that CO2 was causing serious problems and we could prove it, don't you think they would write that down on a piece of paper somewhere so people could read it? They don't have definitive proof, period. I am firmly of the belief that the future will show that this whole hysteria over climate change was a complete fabrication.
And lastly, they'll smash those dams that are transporting illegal migrants into the UK, costing us a 6.4 billion a year.
Round up, detain and deport illegal immigrants. That's what new Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has just promised to do. Well, do you believe the woman who held up a sign saying refugees welcome, close the Bibby Stockholm and scrap Rwanda on day one?
Do you believe it? They fear their loyalty to the World Economic Forum and its globalist and totalitarian agenda being exposed and revealed.
You have to choose now between Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why? Because Westminster is too constrained.
Wake up!
They fear their incompetence and failure being exposed. Immigration policy, energy policy, foreign policy, every policy is a failure. They fear losing power. Out of fear of what might happen. Sorry, they don't.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Phil Richardson and I'm
Salam alaikum. I'm speaking to you today about my commitment to protect every member of our Madrasa community.
Of course, cowering in the face of Sharia-loving fanatics does not placate them. Bulges and morons. Our government's appeal is like feeding the crocodile and hoping it will eat the knife. And hiding things, covering things up. That doesn't solve our nation's problems. It's obvious to most of us by now, covering things up makes the problems grow and grow and grow. They've done that for the last 40 years with Pakistani rape gangs for the sake of community cohesion. And they're doing it now with mass migration and the Islamisation of the United Kingdom. But lying to cover things up doesn't create community cohesion. It does the absolute opposite. It stokes anger in British people.
There was no growth in our economy in July, and yet we continually get pumped with mass migration. I'm just going to pose this question. If migration makes us richer, why aren't we getting it?
Our politicians not just writing, we don't keep up. If the truth is
maybe they should do something about the problem instead of covering it up.
And the population know they're being ignored. And worse than being ignored, they're being condemned, this time by the Prime Minister. How on earth did he end up with this job? Anyone who thinks mass immigration might not be such a great idea, Tutik here, he's branded all of you as far-right thugs and Nazis, prejudged you as criminals, and his stormtroopers will come and arrest you shortly. Our so-called leaders is loathing. They don't believe in a nation state. They believe in open borders and cheap labour from global corporations. Their loyalties lie with the World Economic Forum. Tutik here has made that pretty clear already. They loathe on... They don't want them...
Refugees' lives matter, except old people's lives don't seem to matter. Why on earth?
Do our so-called leaders actually want to solve the problems, or do they want to use the problems? Problems they created by to take more power and take away more of your freedoms. You see, these Marxists weren't elected because British people wanted to be governed by Marxists. They were only elected because of the Tories spent 14 years failing everywhere. They failed the British people, failing to be remotely conservative, failing to lower taxes, They would control our borders. They would control our freedoms. Now in power, these marchers want to stay in perpetual chaos and division that they create, divide and rule. There must be an end. There must be a reason to take action against these enemies of the state, and that action will always take away your freedom.
There's been a knife attack on a property in Hart Street. There are reports of it involving children, and I can now confirm that some of the patients have been taken to Alder Hey Children's Hospital, so that would suggest that those reports have indeed been accurate.
Here in the UK, 2 children have been killed in what police call a ferocious stabbing during a dance class in Southport in the northwest of England.
You know, he never once went into the family. I speak to the family.
So what actually happened in Southport? A man of Rwandan descent murdered 3 beautiful girls and stabbed 8 more children and 2 more adults. How did the government react? What did the machinery of the totalitarian state do? Well, you and I would hope something like this would get the government to stop and reflect. Why have these girls been murdered? Why is there so much life crime? Why is there so much rape? Why are these so-called asylum seekers flocking to our shores? What values and cultures do they bring with them? Are their values compatible with ours? Are all cultures of equal merit? You and I would hope the government would ask why the peasants, as us, you and me, why are the peasants revolting? No, don't be ridiculous. Reflecting is not a popular pastime of communists and tyrants. Admitting they're wrong is not a key competence of these tyrants. Apologising for destroying our nation, it's not going to happen. What this government action is, well, firstly, they did everything they possibly could to cover up the basic facts, what you and I will call the truth. They said immediately. Young girls at Taylor Swift Branch Studio, not in terrorism. They said he was from Cardiff. Axel Ruddock Yabana. Yes, he's as Welsh as the daffodils. They looked for evidence he was mentally ill. I can help with that one. Yeah, he was mentally ill. Anyone who commits a crime like that is mentally ill. Exactly what kind of mental illness? And they published a picture of him looking like an innocent little 12-year-old and reported he was a choir boy. They made him the victim. They did all this. They managed the information.
This information is good. It's also bad when people use it in a way that could cause a riot, threats, intimidation. I think they're really going to think longer now about what they're going to do with social media and what are they going to put through Parliament as a bill to right. Misinformation is dangerous. No misinformation or threats or intimidation should be allowed to be carried out on social media platforms.
That's their words. How absurd, how foolish, and how dangerous to kill. How is this working for you, managing the information? Do the government really believe their actions will help build a peaceful, prosperous and patriotic society? What about a cohesive society? Or are they self-hungry for power, self-disdainful of the British people, that they will use anything? Awful. How tragic. They will use anything as an opportunity to implement their totalitarian agenda and crush anyone who speaks out against it. As we've said, these marches are in a state of perpetual chaos. There must be an enemy to mobilise the population against, and they're able to divert attention.
Only 10 minutes anyway.
What I meant by that was that the riots...
Decade. Fucking wanker.
But underneath
modern bastard.
Black hole of society, which belongs to me. I'm convinced that the answer to it is delivery of government. So the best argument against the far right, best argument against enthusiasm is to deliver, to bring about the change that we've promised to bring about.
That's right. So Dick here seems to acknowledge there are troubles. He says the solution is delivering in government, which suggests the cause of the problem is failure in government. I agree, Comrade Keir. And he says the far right, whoever they are, is the snake oil of easy answers. I think it'd be more accurate to say the use of the term far right to label concerned British citizens is the snake oil of lazy government. And any anger which he labels far right is a consequence of failure in government. You can't blame the Tories forever, Comrade Keir. And listen to this.
It doesn't matter what a paramotivation there is. This is violence, it is not protest. It doesn't matter what the motivation is.
That's right. He doesn't care what happens. He doesn't care. It gives him the excuse to crush the dissent that terrifies him. The dissent of the average British man and woman. And by the way, we still haven't been told anything about the motivation of the Southport killer. What could it possibly be?
Good honest men are going to jail for saying that integration failed. So do you think that we're really free if we're not allowed to say what we see? Starmer's a tyrant, but we won't be silent, 'cause he threatens his people. Starmer is evil, but we won't be silent, 'cause he threatens his people. Starmer is evil.
Patronise the entire British people in the process. What two-tier Keir and his cabal of apparat chicks did next is truly huge.
Everyone was angry because of what had happened. Those 3 little girls, the whole world was angry. My husband was then saying, you know, the government keep letting them come in to our borders. You know, kids are getting raped, filmed, what followed, things like that. You know, they're taking all our NHS, they're getting rehomed. You know, everyone coming in is just being given everything. And then things like this are happening in our country.
So what is it exactly that your husband has been accused of?
On the Saturday after Southport, he just put a status up saying the Daresbury Next, which is a hotel close to where we live, which have got immigrants and asylum seekers in there who were getting rehomed. So he went in saying he's coming there to do anything. He was just saying with all what's going on, that's the next place that no should be happen. People will start rioting and stuff. But he didn't put that, he just put it's going to be the Daresbury Next. Then people commented underneath his post and he just put it's the government's fault if they stop letting them in the borders, all this won't be happening.
Okay, so he was being vocal on the immigration issue.
Yeah.
He went there for he felt it, like it touched him emotionally what was going on when he was there. He was waving his flag, he didn't say anything racist, he wasn't shouting abuse, he wasn't swearing. There's actually numerous videos of the police telling Jack he has to put his flag down, he's not allowed to hold his country's flag. Jack said to the police, listen, I'm not here for violence, I haven't came for violence, I came for a peaceful protest. The reason why he was arrested was because the police blockade, or whatever they call it, where they all have the shields, they ran and pushed his mum over, Julie, his mum, she's 68 years old, they pushed her over, trapped her. Police seeing this and obviously trying to get through the police to get to his mum on the floor. They were whacking him with a shield, sprayed him with CS gas, and they were saying, look, my mum's on the floor, I just need to get to my mum. When he was being, after he just got arrested, when he was being held around the back of the Bluebell, the police officers were saying, look, I don't even know why you're being arrested, because his mum was there as well. just a normal police officer. They were saying, I'll ring the inspector and see if we can let you go, because I don't think it's serious enough to be arrested. So like he said, if you don't mind, we might would have done the exact same. Obviously we went home and we thought everything was fine, because obviously Jackass didn't do nothing violent at all. And then that's when, exactly a week later, the police had knocked on the door, and then that's when he got arrested.
They started putting the door through. My little girl was screaming, God. Screaming. Funny, they wouldn't tell me, and I said, have you got a warrant? And they said, we don't need to give you one. And I said, my back door's open and my back gate, you can go down there, stop it, and my door through. So at that point, when and took the kids' iPads and stuff, a little bit.
Did he get?
He got 5.
I may have to go in a minute, guys. I won't get hold of the video. So if you go on AJ's channel, local experimentalist, Matty Blackburn, vlogging journalist, they will have the rest on theirs. I've got to drop someone off to Victoria. So I've got to get out here before 3 o'clock.
I just think he'd have coped with that. I'm actually it's broke a family up, like it's daughter. On our first Christmas, he's missing out on our second birthday, like...
She's just like she's usually a little girl. She's just not herself. She's not the same little girl, she's just like... She said just stays in Christmas.
So with the most recent atrocity in Southport, and regardless of the murderer's motivation in this particular case, it was the last straw. People were angry, not surprisingly. Not just about the Southport murderers, but about years of having their legitimate concerns about massive migration being completely ignored. They're angry about two-tier policing and politicised judiciaries. So Labour cannot afford to have pesky voters asking questions about the consequences of open borders, massive migration.
Okay guys, I'm going to cut this off. I've got to drop my sister off in Victoria.
So they create they turn everyone's attention to their imaginary monster, the far right. The fictional dragon they pretend to slay.
There's a lot of people that are branded people like Lee as if all that racist thug. Is that true?
No, definitely not.
Well, it's like there's actually not a club. They kind of just put me down with something that I haven't actually complied with. I haven't said that I am this type of person.
The last thing would be is racist. And like every person, I think you should have kind of loyalty to your country. And if there's something wrong with your country, why can't you speak about it?
And more fanciful than that, they blame the English defence.
Missiles were thrown at riot officers and a police van was set on fire by a large crowd of protesters believed to be supporters of the English Defence League.
We don't know where they streamed in from. They're believed to be supporters of the English Defence League.
How many people work in what? There's over 50,000 apparatchiks working in the Home Office at the moment. And no one told Kia that the EDL disbanded a decade ago. It hasn't been here for a decade. No one in MI5 reminded him that, 90% of the people that they're watching on a terror watch list, well, they follow Islam.
France and other countries. And I'm worried about the far right because it's the sort of snake oil of the easy answer. I utterly condemn the far right fact.
We utterly hate you. We utterly hate you, Starmer.
Organised.
Queer Starmer.
Two-tier queer.
Who thought that they could get away with causing chaos.
But this deception is not without consequence, Kim.
The following
Thank you.
Muslim militias out on the streets. You lied to them. You created this facade of this far-right English Defence League roaming the streets.
What are you doing?
At least people can see there's a militia there waiting.
He has caused this divide between everyone. He has labelled us ADL, far-right, racists. But I think people are These poor lassies with someone's babies, and I think that's why people are thinking it could have happened to our kids.
And anyone who is even remotely concerned about mass immigration and its impact on our way of life, or channeling Naz Sharp's retweet, you'd all better shut up for the sake of diversity. Of course, the media clapped along with all this. They know there's no fun. They also know there's no media. Maybe they're talking about the 27th. Deflecting work before the population would blink and without them even realising. The headlines and the news all focused on the imaginary monster, the imaginary far right. And everyone had stopped talking about the slaughter of innocent kids. It hasn't been mentioned again. It was totally forgotten. It was a successful government ploy. For me personally, they're working to blame me from
what we've heard, Julie, from a lot of the far-right figures is that these protests that we've been seeing over the last week are not about extremists, they're about ordinary people just having their say. Here's an example, and it's not the only one, from the man known as Tommy Robinson, and probably the most influential instigator of all is Tommy Robinson.
So this to by people lying on sunbeds in Cyprus. It's been coordinated by a man who's just fled England.
The English Defence League have been giving their phone number, giving their email. I mean, the fellow who's associated with most is on the sunbed in Cyprus, Tommy Robinson. He hates Europe, but there he is enjoying the European sunshine and stirring up poison and hate in this country.
There's no truth in that. Bring the case against them. Bring the evidence. The evidence shows the total opposite. Not once did I call for violence, ever. I ask people not to be violent. Lads, you've got to remain calm. Look at our events in London, totally peaceful, totally calm, didn't matter. We were under attack by media and politicians, by women, as far-right racists, hooligans, all these things. Tell you what, people for calm. Try to remain calm. Just an appeal for calm, man. Bring the numbers, bring the noise, don't bring the violence, man. Come in, galvanise the country. That's what we need to do, unite people. Yeah, the level of violence, it won't work. Anyway, stay safe. Stop the violence, man. To the men committing the violence, lads, those individual police officers who are coming out doing a difficult enough job, they've got families at home, they're ordinary people, okay? A peaceful revolution is brewing in Great Britain. A peaceful revolution. Now, why are the British public angry? I want to pause and take a moment to answer that question. I want to take a moment.
Okay guys, I've got to go now. Right. You've got most of the gist of what was going on with the government. So I'm going to head home. I came across this when I was leaving the rally. Sorry.
I've just spoke to someone who's from the place. On the CCTV evidence, you see them in the car park drinking.
Yeah, no, they're not drinking. That was lies. That was media lies.
Okay. From what she just said to me, there was two geezers in the car drinking in a car park.
What happened there?
And then they see these three boys working.
2018.
So they pulled them. She said 3 boys. And she said they pulled out,
Yeah.
drove past them, come back on the roundabout or something, come back, go past them again, and then took them out.
It's a little bit.
So, Met Police, what do you expect?
Medium place, but there was 5 boys. They all got out of the car and ran. The two boys that survived chased them and dragged them back.
We need to look up and see where what this is about, guys. Yeah?
Well, then Harry, Josh and John will look it up.
Well, we'll have to look it up on YouTube or Google or something and find out what's going on.
It's terrible.
Because this is fucking wrong on every level. They're only kids. Look at it. There you go. Met Police again.
The woman said it was his.
In his. That was in his. Right. I'll have to look up. I never heard nothing about it.
No, a car mounted the pavement and murdered him.
What was that?
I remember that. The car mounted the pavement.
Right, guys. A car mounted the pavement and murdered them. Basically, not killed them, murdered them. And the guy, and it's been covered up by the police. More two-tier policing again. Okay, guys. Look up St. A's in London.